brings us the rules.
Jorge Pàez and Pernell Whitaker will fight tonight using a combination of the rules of the IBF, the WBA, and the WBC. 3 judges scoring the fight on a 10-point must system. No standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule, and you can only be saved by the belt in the last round only. And Jim, we want to remember that since Jorge Pàez does get cut easily, if a cut is caused by an accidental headbutt and that cut causes the fight to be stopped, the fight is a technical draw before the 3rd round has ended, or a technical decision in favor of whoever is ahead on the scorecards after the 3rd round.
So the end of the 3rd round is the deadline for technical draw on a fight stopped by cuts. Right now, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, main events monitor and the Reno-Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, in association with the undisputed, undefeated king of beer, Budweiser, present the featured bout of the evening. This bout is sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation, President Robert W. Lee, Supervisor at ringside, Bob Weitzel. The World Boxing Association, President Dr. Gilberto Mendoza, Supervisor in attendance, Santiago Chicas. The World Boxing Council, President Jose Suleiman, Supervisor in attendance, Hector Garcia. It is also sanctioned and approved by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Luther Mack, Commissioners Dr. Elias Ghanem, Nat Carasali, Dr. James Nave, and Bruce Lane. The Executive Director is Chuck Minker. The scoring for this bout will be done on a 10-point must system, and the judges are Chuck Jampa, Patricia Jarman, and Keith McDonald. Our physicians in attendance are Dr. James McLennan, Dr. John Wickman, Dr. Craig Goodmanson, and Dr. Joseph Heflin. The timekeepers, Jim Carpenter and John Rogers. And when the bell rings, ladies and gentlemen, the man in charge of all the action, the referee, working for the 54th time in a world championship bout, is Mills Lane. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, let's get ready to rumble! 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the purple sequin trunks, weighing an even 135 pounds, his professional record, 39 victories, 26 by KO, 3 defeats and 4 draws. He's ranked as the #1 lightweight challenger in the world. Damas y caballeros, con Mexicali, Mexico, the former featherweight champion of the world, Jorge Maromero Pàez. And his opponent in the blue corner, wearing the purple trunks with black trim, also weighing an even 135 pounds. This 1984 Olympic gold medal champion has a professional record of 26 victories, only 1 defeat, 13 KOs. He's from Norfolk, Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker.
Now look, if he goes right there, I'm not going to call it low, all right? Now, you've had all your instructions in the dressing room for the championship of the world. That's a tough, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions here?
No.
Any questions? Let's get it on. Come on.
Jim, unequivocally, I like the guy in the purple trunks and the purple shoes.
I think you're safe, unless Prince shows up. One of these 2 guys is going to win. Well, you had the characteristic "Let's get ready to rumble" of Michael Buffer. You got "Let's get it on" from Mills Lane, and there's the bell.
You got to understand, these are the most frightening moments of a boxing match. Prior to walking up in those steps, then getting in it before the first punches land.
Now, what can Whitaker do in round 1, George, to try to be sure that he gets into a boxing match rather than a brawl?
You train months and months. You spar. You try to establish the same thing you've done in the gym. Move in the directions you want. Constantly create that atmosphere you had in the sparring sessions. Looks to me that he's done it.
So far, this is the same Whitaker we saw against Anthony Baby Jones and Poli Diaz, the flat-footed, careful stepping power puncher that he wants to be.
And in a sparring session, what never happens is your sparring partner jumps out on you and attacks you wildly. That's why you need to do that in a boxing match to get the other guy off guard. Do something different.
A wild right hand by Pàez goes clear over Whitaker's head. Mills Lane tells Pernell Whitaker not to push Pàez to the canvas on the back of the neck.
Whitaker's starting to jab to the body early.
And Pàez begins to flail to the body, and he got one in.
Which is important. If you know that this fight may go 12 rounds, whoever gets in the better body punches earlier is going to have an easier night. Whitaker tries to retaliate by going back to the body.
Whitaker coming straight up the middle and so far able to stop Pàez's charges with hard punches right to the face.
There were some pre-fight discussions about Pàez keeping his right hand extended without throwing it. It's a dangerous thing to do because a lot of fighters run into that and get hurt without even punch being thrown.
Again, Whitaker puts the back of his arm on the back of Pàez's neck, and Mills Lane with another discussion. They touch gloves, and here we go. Less than a minute in round one.
Started to reach his hand behind his back and do some clowning Whitaker did earlier. It's hard to be with a clown and not clown, you know?
Do you think it's any specific problem for Pàez fighting a southpaw, or is he so unconventional that it doesn't much matter?
I think these guys are so well experienced. It doesn't matter what they do as far as southpaws and position. Whitaker is so quick, at least previously. It didn't matter where his feet were. He could throw good punches now.
Whitaker lands an uppercut.
Pàez is going to have to keep his right foot on the outside of Pernell Whitaker.
Another hard left-hand uppercut from Whitaker, and that is the one punch that he said in our meeting yesterday could be the key to the fight. Round one coming to a close, and as we go to the corner of Jorge Pàez, we'll welcome a new addition to the HBO boxing coverage team. Serving as our interpreter in Pàez's corner, former world welterweight champion Carlos Palomino.
Both hands, use both hands, go to the body with both hands.
Trata de sorprenderlo con ese tipo de jabs.
Try to surprise him with your jab. And the right hand over the top. Right down the middle with the right hand.
Just keep doing what you're doing. Now listen, you know the little circle you're making? Keep making your circles. This way, that way. Don't back up from it. You understand? See, and keep your jab going, keep your jab going. Now when you don't see nothing to hit, you know where we're going? We're going on those damn wings, right? Just keep it moving.
Both corners asking for the jab. I think that's because they really haven't worked out the geometry between them. The first round was a feeling out round. Already we see a little more quickness on the part of Pàez to open this round.
Who only threw 17 punches according to PunchStat in round number one. But there's an uppercut from Pàez that landed and was probably his most effective punch so far. Here comes Whitaker with the left-hand uppercut. Why does he think that punch can be so effective, Jorge?
He's been told not to back up. And of course, the only way you can land effectively a good uppercut is by backing up. Now what Pàez has got to realize, he is not truly backing up, he's circling him. And when you cross those feet, walking like you're down the street, you're gonna get hit. The idea is, know the guy's making a circle, don't cross your legs, you're gonna get hit. And he's doing it.
Pàez coming forward, Whitaker trying to pick him off with the jab and follow with the uppercut.
Good body punch. Pernell Whitaker is establishing his power early.
And after the body punch, he rung the bell with the left hand.
The idea he's trying to do, as he stated earlier, is to keep his hands on Pàez at all times. Whether it's a hard punch or it's not a punch, keep touching.
Solid left hand from Whitaker. Pàez momentarily stunned.
Right again, come on.
Again, Mills Lane talks to Whitaker about holding Pàez at the back of the head.
This Pàez seems to have so much confidence, just waves in whether he gets hit or not.
The right hand by Pàez was blocked by a glove.
All right, get step back.
George, Pàez is going to have to be busier than this if he's going to bother Pernell.
Pernell Whitaker is dynamic, which means even when he's standing still, there's some motion that you can't even hardly notice. And it makes you off balance. You think, if I throw, I'm going to miss. He's going to hit me. After about 5 rounds, you'll see Pàez decide, hey, I don't care whether I miss or not, I'm going to throw punches. Boy, what a great body punch. Left hook to the body. If he can land 5 or 6 of those, he could have an easy night. That body punch is still hurting Pernell Whitaker. Left hook to the body.
And a right hand sneaks through the guard of Pernell Whitaker, so Pàez is beginning to step up the aggression. When Whitaker lands a right and continues to hold his ground when he stops and punches.
It's interesting, Whitaker decides to back straight up, and he thinks about what his corner has told him, go in a circle, and he stops.
Good right hand lead by Pàez. Tries it again, and this time it's blocked. Left hand by Pàez landed. In the last 30 seconds of round 2, Jorge Pàez picked up the pace.
I thought that was a pretty good round for Pàez. One thing I've been curious about, Pàez, as a former featherweight, is used to fighting quick opponents. And of course, in Whitaker, he has a quick opponent.
Right hands, they want him to go the right hand over the top. Keep throwing it. Breathe. Left hook to the top. He's got his right hand low, so go over the hook. Over the hook.
Hit him around the hip. Hit him on the wings, right? So now just, as you know, just be circling around him. He won't think that you're in close. You just be moving around, but you're right up close to him. See? Close enough to smell his
Let's get a look at the quickness of Pàez with that sneak roundhouse right hand. Lands flush on Whitaker. If Whitaker is going to stand still, he's going to catch some of those punches.
Pàez has yet to throw a conventional jab in the fight, and he may not throw one. And now he comes in with the roundhouse rights again. If he can put some body punching with that, George, he might do some business.
This is what I said earlier. The one thing that Pernell Whitaker didn't have in his training camp, sparring partners to go wild on him. And this is why you got to get in there and go wild on your opponent to make him panic. You get in there and do what his sparring partners have been doing, he's just going to have the same night as he had with the sparring partners. Whitaker is going to have to decide, am I going to box and move tonight, or am I going to fight? You're not going to be able to do both of them with this guy.
As you look at Pàez's forays, you might remember that Whitaker had a little bit of trouble in the first 5 rounds against a thoroughly unconventional, almost amateurish-looking Oli Diaz. Sometimes if you are a very disciplined, conventional fighter, the wild guy can give you trouble.
That's right, because you can't get set. You don't know what they're going to do. If you duck to the left, he may just scratch you. You don't know what's going to happen.
And Pernell Whitaker's handlers don't like the fact that Pàez keeps his left glove open and slaps at opponents to hold them out of the way.
It's a dangerous thing. Eventually you can have a swollen eye and not even be an effective punch to do it.
Good exchange in the middle of the ring, both men landing.
Pàez seems to be so strong. Good lead right hand.
He's landed the right hand lead several times since he found it in the middle of round 2. Now the left lands.
Get back on the ropes. Here we go. Come on, here we go. Come on.
Whitaker may have to decide, I've got to fight. And I don't think he's made the decision yet. When he does, to change things. But right now, he's playing around a little too much.
Well, he seems at his best when he decides to occupy Pàez to the body. That's the best stratagem for stopping Pàez from coming in.
He's going to have to sit there and fight this guy. Otherwise, this guy's going to walk him down all night.
It seems, George, that if Pernell goes headhunting, Pàez is perfectly willing to exchange punch for punch with him.
Not only so, but he's an acrobat. He's never off balance.
There's the right hand by Pàez. Whitaker lands a left.
Pàez keeps chopping away with that right hand lead, which is the only way to fight a southpaw. You keep feeding right hands, whether you hit them or not. Just keep throwing it because it throws them out.
Whitaker's jab is starting to shorten up. A Pàez left landed flush on Whitaker's face. As round 3 comes to a close, Pernell Whitaker is no longer extending the right jab fully.
Well, that's about as much action as I've ever seen in a Pernell Whitaker fight.
Ah, that's the thing. Just keep that up. You got me covered? How you feel? Good. Okay. Now listen. Every time he starts to fight at that head, just give him a little dip, and come back with them 3s and 4s, right? Looking like a champ. Looking like a champ. Just keep it going. And don't get careless and don't get cute, right? Stay down to business.
This is an example of what happens when a runner turns into a stand-up fighter. He's there to be hit, and he's there to hit more combinations. From another angle, good body shot, takes a right hand in return.
So you have a very intriguing fight now as we go to round number 4. Pàez still has not thrown a conventional jab in the fight. Pernell Whitaker has thrown 108 of them, but his connect percentage is way down at 20%. He's used to landing half those jabs.
Thing I noticed most, that Pàez is doing what he's supposed to do. Whitaker hasn't decided yet what he has to do. He's doing a combination. His strategies are not set. Sometimes he punches, sometimes he moves.
And Pàez got away with some holding and hitting there. For about 5 full seconds, he held Pernell's head.
Pàez is trying to coast a bit. He's throwing away a lot of energy. Now you coast, go for a good punch.
Left hand landed inside for Whitaker. Now he tries to go back to the body. George, between rounds in Pàez's corner, they asked him to keep going forward. They said Whitaker doesn't like to back up.
That's true, not to back up, but he likes moving to the circling. Whitaker, as you notice, he'll take 3 steps backwards and then he'll circle. And when you back him up, he panics and he goes straight back.
Pàez with the roundhouse whacks at the ribs and the temple. Landed 1 or 2.
Whitaker got hurt with a good left hook to the body. It's been 2 left hooks tonight to really hurt Pernell Whitaker. He's a great fighter, but he's going to have to fight tonight.
And as this continues, Whitaker is in no position to jab and use the boxing skills that ought to be his edge.
He's using his elbow and he's doing the things that weightlifters do. They try to use their strength. That's why it's not an easy thing to tell lightweights to go messing around with weights.
But they're a lightweight.
Minute to go in round number 4. A consummate boxer, Pernell Whitaker, getting into more and more of a brawl against a Jorge Pàez who appears to have adjusted easily to Whitaker's early dominance with the jab and body punch.
That's right. He's turned the fight into the kind of fight he wants. He's landing punches. Whitaker's strong, but the chin is the same chin that was an Olympian.
And we might find out tonight just how much punching power Pernell Whitaker has, because he's getting the chance to land shots inside.
Believe me, he can punch. But he's going to have to establish to this guy, I'm not running from you. About Whitaker, he's missing a very necessary part. Lou Duva is not in camp.
Lou Duva watching in Houston. Pernell Whitaker treading water against Jorge Pàez in Reno.
Keep the pressure up just the same way you're doing. Don't wait so long. Breathe deep. You didn't throw any jabs. I want you to throw some jabs. Close your eyes.
Harold Letterman, how do you score it so far?
Larry, 39-37, 3 rounds to 1 favor Pernell Whitaker. You know, you score fights based on effective aggressiveness, and for the first 3 rounds, I thought what Jorge Pàez was doing was ineffective aggressiveness, moving forward, not landing shots. In the 4th round, he started to get in some good shots, and Pernell started to grab. If Pàez keeps backing him up, Pàez could win this fight.
Let's take a look. Whitaker seems to like it in there and thinks he's stronger than Pàez. And Harold, I averaged 3 rounds to 1 also, but I gave the 2nd round to Pàez.
But the last 3 of them have been close rounds, gentlemen. No way of knowing what's on the official scorecards here in Reno.
Whitaker can never get established with his jab. He can take this fight over, but he can't seem to get enough room to get it going.
Well, it's hard to establish the jab when the guy is right up in your clavicle all the time.
No, you get on your toes and you start skipping around. Skipping. You skip.
That was the old Pernell Whitaker.
Boy, there was another good left hook and right to the body.
Now Pàez begins to come up the middle of Whitaker's defense. So after 4 rounds of roundhouse stuff, now it's Pàez with short, straight punches.
Sometimes you can't be ashamed to get in there and move around. You just start running for a while. It's like riding a horse to hold on to the horn on that saddle. You shouldn't be ashamed of it.
Good uppercut from Whitaker. 3 or 4 punches landed. Now Pàez with another right hand to the head of Whitaker. They are exchanging punches at close quarters, with both men landing frequently.
Pernell Whitaker's a sharp puncher.
George, if you're in Pàez's corner, are you totally happy with this slugfest so far?
Oh yes, this is definitely his fight. He doesn't want this fight to go any other way. He want to scratch, make the guy lean in and bump with him. Eventually both will have a scar or 2 on their face.
And if you're in Whitaker's corner, you would ask him to get up more on his toes.
Yeah, move on your toes. Jab this guy. Hit him when you want to. When you don't want to hit him, don't be hit. When Whitaker is coasting, he's taking a punch. See?
Pàez has a good chin. When he's in trouble, it is because he is cut. It is seldom because he's been knocked out.
When Whitaker takes a rest, he gets hit. He should take a rest by being at least 3 feet from the guy. I would tell him to hold the guy, then step 4 feet back, make the guy walk to him.
Grueling exchanges in the center of the ring. No more
that body punch by Whitaker hurt.
He's landed several heavy body
a good right to the body of Pàez.
George, stop the presses. I think I just saw an attempted jab by Pàez.
Round 5 coming to a close. Pernell Whitaker lands 1 right-hand uppercut right on the button to punctuate the round. But Jorge Pàez continues to pressure Whitaker all over the ring. And Larry, let's bring in Lou Duva down in Houston to get his reflection on what's going on so far. Lou, what do you see?
Well, I'd like to see Pernell establish his jab a little more, but his body punches are getting to Pàez. Pàez will be wearing down pretty soon. And those little uppercuts, which George Benton has taught him, are coming into the zone right now. He's starting to get to Pàez. It's just a matter of, I don't want him to go into the fight just right now and fight his fight. There's still 7 rounds to go. There's a long way to go for this here fight.
Lou, do you see this fight resembling the last fight in which he fought an awkward fighter, and along about the middle of the fight, he started to have it his own way?
No, I mean, Pàez is a much better fighter than Diaz ever was. And he's starting to put a lot of pressure on Pernell. That's the only way he's trying to get him to do is break up his battle plan. As long as Pete does what he's supposed to do, he'll win this fight.
Lou, what's the name of that restaurant again?
Nino's.
George will be there very soon. Round 6 begins. The comments of Lou Duva, recovering from heart bypass surgery down in Houston. He has our best wishes as he continues that process.
The thing about Pàez pressing in, I don't think he understands the true punching power that Pernell Whitaker has. He can not put you to sleep.
Well, but Pàez knows more about it than anybody in the building right now, George, and he does not seem to be phased.
But he hasn't landed, he hasn't turned one punch over yet upstairs. Got some good body punches in, but when he turns them over, somebody's going to go to sleep. You can disrespect the guy, but be careful.
This has been a big first minute of round number 6 for Whitaker, who's very accurate with the uppercut and has temporarily stopped Pàez from punching. Crowd picks up the steam a little bit.
Now Pàez is clowning because he couldn't do anything else. Whitaker should not stop and start to clown with him.
George Benton asked Pernell Whitaker between rounds to stay on his toes and try to find jabbing opportunities, just as Lou Duva suggested he wanted to.
You try to get at least 3 feet from the guy and have to have him walk to you, then punch. There you are. After you throw your combination, you get you established at 3 feet distance again.
Solid left to the body by Whitaker, and he tried to come with the right hand up top, and it was blocked. These uppercuts are landing, though, George.
The uppercuts are landing, and they hurt. And eventually, they take a lot out of your chin. Affects your knees. Pàez is using his elbows really good. That's the only way to protect yourself from a good southpaw. Use your elbow.
This is about the point in the Poli Diaz fight when, as Larry Merchant pointed out, it became target practice for Whitaker, and he's been much more accurate in this round than in the 3 that preceded it.
It's keeping that distance. Keep that distance. Make the other guy walk to you, then hit him. Punch by Pàez.
And it set up a left hand to the head that he landed as well.
Pàez is no pushover.
If you're Pàez, you go back to the body now, right?
You just get wild again. The only way to get, you just can't fight this guy orthodox. Go right at him.
Another booming uppercut up the middle for Whitaker. And we're halfway through the bout. Pàez, trouble with the left eye, Larry.
Yeah, he caught a punch or perhaps an inadvertent finger, and now he's bleeding from the right eye, from the corner of the right eye. He is a bleeder, and he knew it almost instantly.
We should point out immediately that Pàez has finished and won a lot of fights in which he was badly cut.
Tú eres más rápido que él, compa. Vamos, transfórmese como usted dijo que arriba vamos a ganar, ¿eh? ¿Ok? Búscalo abajo y remátalo arriba, compa. Está más lento que tú.
Go after him. Go after him. You're quicker than he is. Throw the right hand. They didn't see the butt. They think it was a headbutt.
Let's see if we can find out what it was, whether it was a butt or a punch. Now, it was right there. I thought it was a punch, but I can't be sure. But when a fight with both fighters standing in this close, that's always a possibility.
Bought a punch. The ref didn't pay any attention to it, so there's no need talking about it.
And Pàez is wincing again.
Generally, you do that when it's a butt.
Goes wild. A burst of energy following the cut to the right eyelid. And now Whitaker plants a straight right on the face of Pàez. The blood is going to flow.
Come on.
Referee Mills Lane has said that what happened in the previous round that caused the cut to Pàez was an unintentional headbutt. So apparently Mills Lane saw it, even though we couldn't on the replay. Harold Letterman, what are the implications of the unintentional headbutt?
Jim, if the fight is stopped because of the cut, we go to the scorecards and it becomes a technical decision. So if the fight is stopped because of this headbutt, we will go to the scorecards to determine the winner.
Regardless of the round in which the fight is stopped?
Correct. If legal punches make the cut worse and the fight is stopped in later rounds, we will go to the scorecards.
It's very important that Whitaker stay ahead on points at this time.
Whitaker gazing at the cut right eye and going ahead with the left hand. Uppercut.
Think most boxers, when they get cut, they panic. This guy has a record of bleeding, so he's not going to panic. He thinks maybe next round I'll get him.
What it's done for the moment is to energize Pàez, but Whitaker is responding with some of his most devastating punching of the fight.
That Whitaker can hit. Caution Pàez, if you're going to go to him, throw punches. Don't just...
And I think Pàez's vision is being bothered.
The way he fights, it's really hard to say just how much of a hindrance it is.
Now, George, if you're in Whitaker's corner between rounds, do you tell him to focus on that right eye or forget about it?
Forget about the right eye. Keep going to the body. Keep building up your point system. Win this fight. Forget about the cut. The cut is not a gift. But I can tell you Pàez has had enough.
Left to the body by Pàez. Whitaker coming back straight ahead. Round 7 ends.
That's a pretty bad cut there.
No, it's unintentional back. No. No.
I would probably call it after this. You heard Mills Lane tell the corner of Pàez that it was an unintentional butt. There is no deduction of a point for that.
Duro.
Hard. Mills Lane is right on top of it.
The last thing George Benton said to Pernell Whitaker was hard. Throw hard punches. Pàez is cut neatly cleaned up by cutman Chuck Bodak. Comes back to try to look to do some damage in round 8.
Whitaker has a cut also. So when you stay in close and try to exchange punches, you're going to be bruised and cut also.
Where do you think Whitaker's cut is, George?
It's on his right side of the right eye.
It's hard to say at this point until he gets closer to us whether that's just blood from Pàez or an actual cut.
It's a cut.
Well, if Whitaker's cut, he also has one of the best cutmen in the business, Ace Murata, in his corner. Now Mills Lane is going to take a good look at Jorge Pàez. And so is the doctor.
Whitaker just told me at ringside.
Okay, I'm going to go. All right. Time. Here we go. Come on.
The doctor and Mills Lane are going to let it go on.
And Whitaker, Jim, is not cut. He has some droplets of blood on him from Pàez.
Well, this is a point in the fight at which Pàez is very dangerous, George.
Boy, is he landing good left hooks in there.
Whitaker's got to be sure that he doesn't get butted as Pàez comes charging in.
When you stay close, the cut is open up. I was almost certain he was cut.
What's up, Mike? I said, hey, come on. Get off that track. Come on.
Right hand landed by Pàez at the end of a 4-punch combination by Whitaker.
Pernell Whitaker believes in his punching power too, so he'll run only so far, then he'll stop and fight.
Here we go, come on.
Left hand landed by Pàez, but these are desperation swings now.
But they hurt. place over and over.
And of course, it's hard for Pernell to get the distance to jab as Pàez just comes charging in.
That's the way you got to fight Pernell Whitaker. You charge in and forget about your styles.
Little target practice for Whitaker now. Pàez losing some of his snap. That right hand landed though, and served only to anger Whitaker for the moment.
Every time Pàez decided to throw his chopping right hand, he lands. Why he doesn't continue? Good left.
Pàez is raised on the streets, in the circus. He understands the hard ethic of life, and he understands the hard ethic of boxing. He doesn't quit. He wouldn't be here if he hadn't quit.
You need to pop your ears? Oh. You want to pop your ears? You want to pop your ears? Yeah. Now look. Give me a towel. Give me a towel. Quick, give me a towel.
Harold, how do you score it to now?
Larry, 6-2, 78-74, Pernell Whitaker. I think that Pernell Whitaker is still in control of this fight. He keeps popping Jorge Pàez as Pàez comes rushing in with those good right jabs, good straight lefts, good combinations. I think he's got Jorge Pàez pretty well under control.
How about you, Larry?
I have it 7-1, although a lot of the rounds are close. I think Whitaker is winning them.
Mills Lane calling time. Pàez appeared.
Come on.
Pàez appeared weary for the moment. Whitaker almost asked Mills Lane to look at him.
Gentlemen.
He is a gentleman.
Yeah,
a real
some guys, the still guy back away would go right after you.
Solid left hand by Pàez. Ooh, that was a good one.
He was hurt. Also should be noted that Whitaker can take a good shot. Not only can he give one, he can take a punch.
Whitaker becoming much more economical now, George, throwing fewer punches and seeming to target the eye. I'm not sure that'll play in his favor.
Never should concentrate on the cut. But he's keeping that distance like he was supposed to do earlier when he's not throwing punches on the move.
But he's allowed himself to get cornered here by Pàez, almost inadvertently.
Pàez is concerned about his eyes now. So when he corners him, he thinks first about safety.
Step back, both of them. Here we go.
We're in round 9 at the Civic Center in Reno, Nevada, where Pernell Whitaker is defending his undisputed lightweight championship against Jorge Pàez. And Pàez, characteristic of his big-time career, has a major league cut on his right eyelid. That has become the central focus of the fight. Pàez landing a right hand in the middle of the ring, and now another right.
Whitaker said he wanted to throw combinations this time, and he's done so. A lot better than the last fight. Punches and bunches.
Pernell with a little wrestling act against the ring ropes. And now Pàez goes back to stalking. Left hand leaping by Pàez. Throughout the bout, the most effective blow for Whitaker has been the uppercut, both the right and the left hand. He hasn't used it much in the last 2 rounds.
He's got Pàez concerned about his body along with the hurt eyes. Now he's throwing combinations to the body and the head. Beforehand, he was throwing 3 punches. Pàez would hit him afterwards. This time, he's throwing 3.
agua.
We want to take a moment to tell you about a program coming up on HBO that you won't want to miss. Countdown to Holyfield Tyson, a half-hour special which will preview the upcoming heavyweight championship fight. I will be there along with Larry Merchant and George Foreman as the three of us look at all the issues surrounding that much anticipated and highly controversial fight, premiering Monday, October 21, right here on HBO. Let's go to Jorge Pàez's corner.
Go four on top, then go to the body. More pressure. More pressure and work. Go to work. Move. Make your moves and then throw punches. Don't think, just throw punches.
Round 10 begins. They trade punches at close quarters in the center of the ring.
Pàez, just like his corner said, you can't concern yourself about winning points. You're gonna have to get a knockout. You fight for the for the championship of the world. You go out there and you let everything hang out. If you fall to the canvas, your managers, they'll come and pick you up. Go for a knockout.
Well, when Jorge Pàez first won the featherweight championship of the world against Calvin Grove down in Mexicali, he trailed throughout the entire bout, seemingly out of it in points. And then in the 15th and final round, he put Grove on the canvas 3 times to rally dramatically and win the fight. The lesson is you don't ever count this guy out.
That's right. And this is the time he should be searching for a knockout. Not waiting. There's no more 15 rounds, you know. Go for the knockout. Forget about winning this fight by points. You're behind. Go for the knockout.
They do a great job on Pàez's cut eyelid between rounds, and then about midway through each round, the blood begins to flow. Here it comes again. Whitaker remembering to go to the body, and then a devastating left hand right into the eye. And again.
The thing about Whitaker, you sit to hit him and he moves in another direction. It's hard to get a solid punch off on him. Early on, Whitaker was circling him. Now you notice Whitaker's standing fast. He's not moving backwards or side to side. It's like I control the fight. That's hard for a boxer to establish that I own the middle of this ring.
Pernell Whitaker, 27 years old. He put together his professional career. This is the 28th fight. And an amateur career with more than 250 of them. There's very little he hasn't seen in the ring. Jorge Pàez, by contrast, had only 3 amateur fights.
With Pàez, you should just play soft for a second, let the guy relax, and then come on top and get him.
Now Pàez's vision is again affected by the blood flowing down from the eyelid. What do you do when you're a one-eyed fighter, George?
You cry for help. You know, when one eye is hurt, you just got to forget about being orthodox. You got to charge in there and get the other guy with one eye also. You just can't sit back and decide my corner is going to help me.
What about the vision problem? He's clearly having trouble seeing out of that eye now.
The thing about boxing, my manager told me earlier when I complained about a scar. In this business, you'll have them everywhere. You just got to keep fighting.
And Jorge Pàez keeps fighting at the end of round 10, but more and more, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, no. It's another button. I covered already, I covered. Here's another head button. Mel, it's another head button.
You got the heads in there, but not intentional, I call it, okay?
Okay.
Hey, who's got to check any more tape? We'll tape this up. The flap's coming in now.
Arriba.
Now look, don't run from him. I want you right back there. Just make a little circle. You understand? Close, tight circle. But you be fine. When you make it miss, make him pay. You understand? Okay, here we go.
Pernell Whitaker's problem as a lightweight is that there really hasn't been a second best lightweight out there to challenge him. Pàez is a reasonable facsimile of such a fighter.
And still, Pernell may be headed toward the kind of lopsided decision that leaves fight fans mildly dissatisfied.
His manager told him earlier about a tight circle. You circle him, but you don't get too far away from him. You stay tight, but you circle. Always within arm's length.
This is a favorite theory of trainer George Benton.
Tight circle.
For both Pernell and Meldrick Taylor, they call it fighting in the zone. And I guess a big part of the theory, George, is not to get stuck on the ropes.
The whole idea is to be within arm's length. If the guy can hit you, you can duck, you can do anything. But if you get away from him, you give him a lot of courage and catch you on the end of those punches.
A left and a right landed inside for Pàez, who shows buckets of courage. Whitaker again pinpoints the eye with a left hand and another.
The thing about Whitaker, he's not even breathing hard.
Now he's in sensational condition. Of course, he stayed busy.
Yeah, when you're active, an active fighter is always a good, well-conditioned fighter. It's like walking down the street.
We had him July 27 in Norfolk, Virginia, 69 days ago.
He seems to be
champion. Excuse me, for an undisputed champion, that's a very short period of time between fights.
Whitaker seems to be anticipating the punching, the whereabouts of the punches landing, and he has his defense set, preset.
Whitaker almost landed a home run punch there with the left hand.
You can't get you relaxed. Pàez can still knock you out.
Well, I think Pernell has shown a capacity to be careful while still being aggressive in these last few rounds.
Boy. Seems that Pàez is trying to relax him a little bit so he can get home a good shot. Helps him, plays with him, and then maybe I can get home.
Whitaker with a little clowning. Almost stepped over the top of Pàez's head, and Mills Lane doesn't like it, and he wants a point deducted from Pernell Whitaker.
He's warned him time and time out since the fight started about this thing.
Well, Larry Merchant told you before the fight about the incident 4 years ago when Whitaker pulled down Roger Mayweather's shorts. And tonight he has decided on a few occasions to out-clown the clowns.
I don't know where I was when all that was happening, but I haven't seen much clowning around. He just sort of stepped over Pàez in an awkward, when they were both in an awkward position. I don't know why it merited a deduction, but perhaps the replay will show it to us. Now let's see what happens here.
He actually tries to put him on between his legs, put his head between his legs.
Okay.
Well, I think you have to go back to rounds 1 and 2 when he twice was warned by Lane for holding Pàez down with his arm on the back of Pàez's neck.
He's ours. He's really tired. Go get him. Do not rest. He's tired.
He's first on top of him. You understand? All right.
Pernell Whitaker describes himself as a 12-round fighter. And here he is again.
I have a question to throw out to you guys. Do you think that off of this fight, in fighting in this kind of stand-up economical style, that Whitaker is giving Julio Cesar Chavez anything to worry about?
Believe me, he can whip him.
You think he can beat Chavez?
No doubt in my mind. I see he can take a punch and he can last. His only problem is he gets too careless in the last round.
Okay, a point deduction now from Pàez.
Point over here. 1 point over here. Let's go.
Can't turn your back on a boxer.
And that deduction was for holding and hitting, the same crime for which Whitaker was penalized 1 round ago.
Pàez is saying, listen, you're not going to treat me like that.
About your question, Larry, I'm not so sure that Whitaker wouldn't play into Chavez's hands by fighting this style against Chavez. He'd be fighting Julio Cesar Chavez's fight. And now let's continue with the 12th round of Pàez-Whitaker here. A minute and a half to go. And Jorge Pàez has hung in with the cut eye through 6 rounds of damage now.
Not only did he hang in there, he put on a good show. When you consider he had to protect his eye half the fight.
Left hand lands for Pàez. His corner having asked him for the knockout. And Whitaker is momentarily stunned by a right hand.
Step back, here we go.
But now Pernell comes back with a combination in the middle of the ring. The tape is flying free off Pàez's left glove, and now an exhausted Jorge Pàez falls through the ring ropes. And Mills Lane is going to call timeout. They're going to trim the tape on Pàez's glove, and that's going to be a break for the challenger, who appeared thoroughly wasted at that moment. And now Pàez has got a minute left to see if with whatever energy he has conserved, he can mount a final assault against the champion.
Both of them, not the rough stuff first. Come on, let's go.
Wilder and Wilder. Holding and hitting again and getting away with it. A final burst of energy. There will be no knockout. Well, it's clear that Jorge Pàez has lost none of his fans. Harold, did he lose the fight?
Well, Jim, I think he lost the fight. I got an 8-2, 2 even, including the 2 points that Mills Lane deducted. Favorite Pernell Whitaker, 116, 110. I thought Pernell was just too accurate. Jorge did what he had to do by getting inside, but when he did get inside, Pernell either tied him up effectively or belted him with a good straight left hand. So Pernell was landing the cleanest, sharpest shots. Certainly, I thought he won the fight.
And as Pernell Whitaker celebrates on one side of the ring and Jorge Pàez does likewise in the other corner, finally the two fighters come together. And another moment. George, what did you think?
Fine fight. When you consider Pàez, he did everything he could do. This guy's a tremendous fighter.
He showed valor, that's for sure. Let's take a look at the total punch stat numbers in the fight. Now, midway in the fight, Whitaker had doubled Pàez in terms of punches thrown. And there's still a large margin at the end. You can see that Pernell Whitaker was judged by our punch stat computers to have thrown 411 more punches than Pàez, and he landed at a higher rate as well. And right now, we go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Keith McDonald scores the bout 116 to 110. Patricia Jarman scores it 115 to 112. Chuck Jampa scores it 115 to 111 for the winner by unanimous decision. And still, undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker.
Another victory for Sweet Pea.